Karen's meaty fist slammed the table so hard my soda fizzed over, her voice a siren of outrage that could wake a coma patient. "That hat is hate speech. You little punk," she screeched, her triple chins wobbling like a jello mold at a picnic gone wrong. The diner, a cozy little spot called Rosie's on the edge of town, had been humming with the usual Friday night chatterforks clinking, waitresses dodging tables, and the smell of burgers sizzling. But now, every head turned, eyes wide, as Karen, all 300 pounds of her, transformed a quiet dinner into a one-woman war zone. I'd only wanted a burger and fries, maybe some peace after a long week. My red MAGA hat, a gift from my uncle, wasn't meant to start a riot. I wore it because I liked the color, not because I was itching for a debate. But Karen, seated 2 tables over with a plate of onion rings she'd been bullying a waitress about, locked onto me like a heat-seeking missile. Her eyes, small and mean in her puffy face, zeroed in on the hat. I could almost hear the gears grinding in her head. Target acquired. "You think you can just sit there, flaunting that garbage?" she spat, lumbering to her feet. Her floral dress strained at the seams, and her voice carried the kind of self-righteous venom that made you want to check for a soapbox under her chair. The waitress, a young woman named Tina with a ponytail and tired eyes, froze mid-step, clutching a tray of drinks. An older guy at the counter, probably in his 70s, stopped chewing his pie, his fork hovering like he was witnessing a car crash. "Ma'am, it's just a hat," I said, keeping my tone calm, though my heart was doing a tap dance. I'm no stranger to arguments. Grew up with 3 brothers who'd fight over the last chicken wing, but this felt different. Karen wasn't just mad. She was unhinged. Her face turned a shade of red that matched my hat, and she pointed a sausage-like finger at me. "It's a symbol of hate. You're triggering everyone here. Take it off, or I'm calling the cops." The irony wasn't lost on me. Here was Karen, accusing me of ruining her meal, while she was the one turning Rosie's into a circus. I leaned back, crossing my arms. "I'm not breaking any laws, lady. You don't like it? Look somewhere else." Big mistake. Karen's eyes bulged, and she let out a noise somewhere between a growl and a tea kettle. "You're a bigot," she screamed, loud enough to rattle the ketchup bottles. "This is a safe space, and you're violating it." Tina, the waitress, tried to intervene, her voice shaky but firm. "Ma'am, please, let's keep it civil," but Karen wasn't having it. She swung her arm, knocking a glass of iced tea off her table. It shattered on the floor, brown liquid splattering like a crime scene. The old guy at the counter muttered something about "damn lunatics" and went back to his pie, but everyone else was hooked, their phones creeping out to record the meltdown. Karen's tirade escalated. She called me every name in the book: racist, fascist, you name it, each word dripping with the kind of moral superiority that made my skin crawl. I'm just a 22-year-old mechanic, not some political mastermind. I vote, sure, but I don't go around preaching. Karen, though, she was preaching enough for both of us. "You're oppressing me with that hat," she wailed, clutching her chest like she was auditioning for a soap opera. I couldn't help it. I laughed. Not a chuckle, but a full-on, can't-breathe laugh. The absurdity of it all, her accusing me of oppression while she terrorized the whole diner, was too much. That laugh was the match to her gasoline. Karen lunged forward, snatching a butter knife from her table and waving it like she was about to duel. "Take it off, or I'll make you," she roared. The diner went silent, the kind of silence that sucks the air out of a room. Tina gasped, dropping her tray. The old guy finally put his fork down. And me? I felt a cold prickle down my spine, but I wasn't about to back down. "You're threatening me with a butter knife?" I said, raising an eyebrow. "What's next, a spoon?" Maybe it was my tone, or maybe Karen was already too far gone, but she took a step closer, brandishing that dull knife like it was Excalibur. That's when Tina, bless her, bolted for the phone behind the counter. "I'm calling the police," she shouted, her voice cracking. Karen didn't even flinch. She was too busy ranting about how my hat was a weapon of systemic violence and how I was traumatizing her. The other patrons were split, some whispering to each other, some filming, and one guy in a corner booth yelling, "Sit down, lady, nobody cares." It didn't take long for the cops to show up. Two officers, one a burly guy with a buzz cut, the other a woman with a no-nonsense ponytail, walked in just as Karen was trying to yank the hat off my head. Her fingers grazed my hair, and I jerked back, knocking over my chair. "Ma'am, step away," the female officer barked, her hand on her holster. Karen froze, the butter knife still in her grip, her face a mix of fury and confusion. "He's the criminal," she shrieked, pointing at me. "That hat is hate speech." The officers exchanged a look, the kind that says, "We've seen this before." Buzzcut asked me what happened, and I told him the truth. I was eating, she flipped out, and now she was waving a knife. Karen interrupted every other word, insisting I'd provoked her and that she was defending the community. The old guy at the counter piped up, "She's the one causing a scene. Kid was just eating." Tina nodded, still clutching the phone like a lifeline. The female officer, whose badge read Sanchez, took one look at the butter knife and sighed. "Ma'am, put the knife down and step outside." Karen's jaw dropped, her eyes darting around like she expected the diner to rise up in her defense. Nobody did. Instead, the guy in the corner booth started clapping, slow and sarcastic. Karen's face crumpled, but she wasn't done. "You're arresting me," she wailed, dropping the knife with a clatter. "He's the one spreading hate." "Threatening someone with a weapon isn't exactly spreading love," Sanchez said dryly, guiding Karen toward the door. Karen resisted, her bulk making it a struggle, but Buzzcut was there, calm but firm. As they cuffed her, she kept screaming about free speech and injustice, oblivious to the irony. The diner erupted in murmurs, some relieved, some amused. Tina started cleaning up the shattered glass, shaking her head. The old guy went back to his pie. Outside, through the diner's big windows, I could see Karen being loaded into the squad car, still yelling, her voice muffled but her outrage clear. I felt a weird mix of relief and pity. She'd turned a simple dinner into a battlefield, all because of a hat. But more than that, she'd shown everyone in Rosie's what happens when you let your anger run the show. The cops took my statement, assured me I'd done nothing wrong, and left. Tina comped my meal, saying, "You didn't deserve that circus." As I walked out into the cool night, I tipped my hat to the diner's neon sign. Maybe I'd wear it again tomorrow. Not to start trouble, but because it's just a hat and nobody gets to tell me otherwise. Karen, meanwhile, was probably still yelling in the back of that squad car, convinced she was the victim. Some people never learn. Life's funny like that. You can scream about hate, wave a butter knife, and call the cops, but in the end, the only one getting arrested is you. Karma doesn't need a hat to make a point. The end.